This is Safety Notes, a monthly report keeping you up to date with the latest news on safety. Now, here's Safety Director Jim Turnage.
Welcome to the April edition of Safety Notes. This month we have a lot to cover, so let's get right into it. On March 15, 1985, the Sedco 201 operating in the Middle East set a new record. They went 3 years without a lost time accident. Now, we've had other rigs go 3 years, but there's something significant about this one. We have Howard Mackow, rig manager of the Sedco 201, on the phone, and let's talk to him about how this was accomplished. Hello, Howard.
Yes, hello.
How are you doing?
Very good, thank you.
First off, I'd like to congratulate you on your rig going 3 years without a lost time accident.
Thank you.
Now, each day that your rig works, it's setting a new world record. Would you explain what I mean by a new world record?
That world record means that the rig came out of the shipyard and has not had a lost time accident in its history.
Well, obviously a well-planned and supportive safety program was established early. What was your plan and how did you start it?
Our initial plan, we used our Pakistani assistant drillers. We made them onboard safety supervisors and made them directly responsible for all the safety meetings on all aspects of safety day and night.
All right, now, key people had to play a part in this on the rig. Who were these people?
Mainly our rig superintendents, Bill Bolianitz, and at the beginning John Wiggins, and of course our barge engineers, and one of the, an individual contribution was made by Jerry Terpstra, barge engineer.
Yeah. Now, what recognition or safety awards did the employees receive?
They received, for every year they went without a lost time accident, they received 1 week's salary. So recently, when they achieved their 3-year award, they just received a 3-week salary.
Now, also, you had a safety motto contest. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
We had a contest after the first year for a safety logo, and one of the tower pushers came up with the one that they use today, 3 years later, and the logo is lost time accident, question, never had one.
Oh, that's great. What plans do you have to keep this world record going?
To continue, mainly to continue to take the time to think about safety on board the rig, continue having their safety meetings, lots of teamwork, and stay alert.
Well, Howard, this is something you should definitely be proud of, and congratulations to you for having such an excellent crew, rig, and such an effective safety program. Thank you for taking the time to do this interview with us today.
Thank you, and that comes from all the men aboard the 201.
All right, great, Howard. Now, the Sedco 201 has set a remarkable record. Now, they have a new goal, 4 years accident-free, and they can do it. Now, on March 13th, a helicopter went down in eastern Canada. 6 lives were lost. 1 week later, a helicopter returning from the Sedco 709 also had to have an emergency landing. Now, Fred Florence is on the phone, rig manager of the 709. And let's talk to him about that emergency landing. Fred?
Yes, Jim.
Good afternoon. Can you tell us what happened on the helicopter that went down that made the emergency landing?
Yeah, on Wednesday, March the 20th at about 10:40 a.m., we received a call that a Sikorsky S-61 carrying 15 passengers and 2 pilots developed a mechanical problem and went down in the water under power approximately 4 miles offshore Nova Scotia.
Mm-hmm.
Chopper had a leak in its transmission oil and had a seizure of the gearbox and forced the helicopter down. It was a soft landing with an orderly evacuation into life rafts. The people were recovered by 2 Sikorskys or Sea Kings that belonged to the Canadian Search and Rescue Group.
At what point in this were you contacted?
I was outside the office and received a call within minutes of the time that the Mayday had been dispatched from the helicopter.
what did you do after your initial phone call?
I immediately proceeded to Shell's office where the best communication was available so that we would know exactly what was going on the scene and know what rescue equipment had been dispatched.
All right. Thank you, Fred. Also, Jamie Manouge is in there in the office with you. Can we speak to him, please?
Yes, here he is.
Jamie is a warehouseman on the 709, and he was on the helicopter when it went down. Jamie, can you tell us what the sequence of events were on board the helicopter?
Yes, well, we were flying in, making a normal crew change. The weather was beautiful, and one of the watchstanders that was flying in with us came up the aisle of the helicopter and indicated to the pilot that we were leaking oil down the side of the helicopter. At about that same instant, the pilot got visual warning on his instrumentation. Everybody was told to buckle up in their seats, don their hoods and gloves for their survival suits, that we were going down to the water, and we still maintained our airspeed, and you could see the pilots watching the radar screen trying to make the first point of land. He realized that he wasn't going to make land and put the helicopter down in the water before it got extremely critical.
Who took command of the emergency?
The pilot took command of the emergency all the way.
Okay. Did anybody panic?
No, sir.
Was there any problems in getting the life rafts out and boarding them?
There was no problem whatsoever. We had a sea running about between 6 and 8 feet. The helicopter was very stable, and the pilot, delegated to myself and another passenger to get the raft deployed at the cargo door. Then we held the raft at the cargo door while all of us embarked except for the 2 pilots and 1 other person.
What were your thoughts when you knew that you had to make an emergency landing?
Initially, there was about 3 seconds of panic, and then I said, this is all right, these guys are flying this machine, and I then, from my seat in the helicopter up forward, I could watch the pilots fly the machine and talk back and forth, and they kept us informed the whole time in what they were doing and why they were doing it and how they were doing it.
How long were you in the life rafts, and what were your thoughts while you were in the life raft?
We were in the life raft much more than an hour. I'm a local boy here, so for me, I more or less knew what the sequence of events would be from the point of abandoning the helicopter to pickup. I have several members of my family in the armed forces, and I realized that we wouldn't be long in that raft, and basically all spirits were very good in the raft.
Well, based on this experience, what did you learn that will help others if a similar situation occurs?
To do exactly as you're told, to wear proper clothing as instructed by our own survival school that we've been to, and just about any time we fly offshore, that people are always emphasizing, have you got your gear, have you got lots of warm clothes under your suit, because of course you just never know.
Jamie, thank you very much. We were very fortunate that nobody was injured and everybody is okay, and we definitely hope that nobody ever has to go through this again. Thank you again, Jamie.
Thank you, Jim.
Fred, is there anything that you would like to add to this and share with everybody else?
Jim, I just wanted to emphasize the need for the proper underclothing that must be worn under these helicopter immersion suits. They're designed to keep people dry, but you must have the proper thermal protection underneath. It's also important for each operation to get to know the search and rescue facilities that's available in the local area, and to make sure that we are properly coordinated with adequate communication with the rescue facilities. I want to emphasize the professional attitude that we received from the Canadian Forces Search and Rescue Team at Shearwater. The fact that they did such an excellent job in winching our people out of the water and provided excellent medical facilities when our people arrived at Shearwater Canadian Forces Base. Thanks, Jim.
Well, Fred, those are 2 excellent points that everybody should take into consideration. And And it's good to hear that you do have a plan up there and that it has been used and that it's very effective and works well. Thanks for taking the time, Fred.
Good day.
Now that Fred has explained what happened, let's take a look at how Canadian television reported it.
Everyone lived because the weather was good and the rescue quick. Betty Cahill reports.
The helicopter went down just 60 kilometers from Halifax. It had been returning from the Sedco 709 oil rig near Sable Island. The Sikorsky is designed to float and stay upright, so all 17 people aboard were able to get into life rafts. Search and rescue helicopters picked up the passengers. They were brought to the Canadian Forces base at Shearwater. Medical teams had to move quickly to restore their body heat.
Very, very cold.
What, were you in the water?
In the lifeboats, life rafts,
For how long?
for about 45 minutes.
Can I ask you what were the conditions like?
Oh, I guess about 6 foot waves, maybe.
The pilot of the downed helicopter is Jim Johnson. He's still recovering from the ordeal. Johnson says he had to ditch the helicopter because he lost oil pressure in his transmission. The people rescued were mostly oil rig workers and Shell Canada officials. They were returning from the oil rig Sedco 709. An official spokesman here at Shearwater says there were no serious injuries. 3 people were taken to hospital and treated for hypothermia. The other 14 were able to go home. Betty Cahill, CBC News, Shearwater.
Will Pache is with us today. He is attending the Stability School in Dallas. Now, Will is Assistant Rig Superintendent on the 709, and he was also on that helicopter that was coming in that had to make the emergency landing. Let's see what Will has to say about that emergency landing. Will, we already know why the helicopter had to make an emergency landing. What went through your mind when the pilot made the announcement that you had a serious mechanical problem?
Fear came to my mind first. I was pretty scared, and I think all the rest of the guys were pretty scared too. I could hear the strange noises that the helicopter was making and thinking that it's not going to last much longer. And flying this low at this speed, you know, possibly we're going to disintegrate and have no chance at all. And then when he set it down on the water, he did a really good job of that. One of the fellas at the front got the cargo door open and deployed the raft.
At any point, did anybody panic?
No, not really. Everybody was really scared, but panic was right close. Nobody panicked, actually, but pretty scared.
In eastern Canada, it's required that you have some survival training to work offshore. I know that you have had some of this training. Did that play a key role in keeping everybody calm and going by the procedures?
Yeah, I think it did. They took Alpha